Good afternoon, all. Welcome on the next webinar organized by Koźmiński Business Hub. This time, the topic of our webinar will be innovations for positive impact. The broader context of the webinar is the acceleration program that we are planning to organize already in May. It is a special program because this time will be organized together with our partner, Japka, the brand I believe everybody listening to us and watching us is pretty familiar with. Let me shortly introduce our guest today because it's not only representative of Koźmiński Business Hub, which is myself being the director of acceleration program. We have also Professor Bolesław Rok, who's professor at Koźmiński University and our positive impact expert. Welcome, Professor. And also we're privileged to have two guests from Żabka, Rafał Rudzki, who is ESG director, and Karol Gajewicz, who's head of Venture Studio. The webinar will be divided into two major blocks. The first will be the more meritorical discussion on the positive impact of startups. And in a second, I will, gentlemen, give you the floor to proceed. And in the later part, we'll cover shortly also some details on the acceleration program itself. So, Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will start with saying that, of course, we know that business as usual is no longer possible. And we are looking for new solutions, and we know what and how to change in many companies all over the world in the area of energy, extraction of raw materials, construction, food market, logistics, waste management, water management, many others. But however, these changes cannot be implemented, and we can see it everywhere. It's not only in Poland that we have some ambitious companies which are going pretty fast, and majority are doing not enough. And in some places, of course, the process of change is going a bit better than in others, but we know that we need radical, systemic, and multi-dimensional change. And especially that now, we are living in a completely different world. The war in Ukraine has changed Europe. And we know that, especially in terms of fossil fuel dependency, it will create a lot of changes. But in fact, no one in history has even tried to make such a change, which is needed. Perhaps because the economy has never been developed on such a large scale, it has not contributed so much to the destruction of environment and caused so much social controversy around the world. So one can complain that we are not ready for this change, for this revolution, and there is no political will, and that we have, there is no leadership from politicians, governments, European Commission. They are delaying the process, like CSRD directive on corporate sustainability reporting. That they decided recently to delay for next year and maybe 2 years, 3 years. So you can give up and wait for the next disasters to lead to total chaos in perspective of several years, or we can also simply start introducing these necessary changes, just step by step. And I think it's exactly what startup founders are doing, because they know that in order to bring about change, we first of all have to start changing. And this start is coming, in fact, mostly from startups. And a lot of startups are thinking about, climate innovation. And I think that it's, in fact, it's a new term. Looking at the terminology from the perspective of innovation, we were talking about different kind of innovations, but climate innovation is something different. We know that, some important strategic decisions are necessary, which should be even ahead of changing customer habits and regulations. So business should bring this leadership to society, in fact. And products should be redesigned. We are talking about responsible innovation for the climate, and we know that only products or services with a positive impact on improving the quality of environment should be acceptable. And it's exactly what a lot of startups are delivering already. And we need new processes and structures and solutions in everyday operations, new sustainability governance framework, cooperation, business models, and partnerships. Not only partnerships in terms of just, charity and giving away money, but real business partnerships, based on B2B to C model, and to look for challenges, what we can do together, what is really necessary. So we need this kind of different kind of cooperations on different levels of cooperation, because this innovation which I'm talking about is it's not only should bring, should contribute to economic growth, but also to social prosperity, to betterment of the environment, how to regenerate ecosystems, and so on. And increasing the level of innovation is not only a key challenge from the point of view of competitiveness of the economy, but also from the point of view of addressing the biggest challenges facing society, facing all of us, especially, known for everyone from this UN framework on 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So its innovation processes can no longer focus on internal knowledge generated by companies' R&D, which was traditional attitude, yeah, that we have, in big company, we have our R&D department, and they are just, inventing for us. No, we need a kind of an open innovation, inviting a wide range of stakeholders, such as employees. We can talk about workplace innovation, customers, like user-driven innovation, business partners, startups, academics, to participate in solving specific social environmental challenges emerging in the market, and generating ideas for the company and product development. So, in fact, if we are looking at all elements of this ecosystem of change, we are now discussing this new social contract. I mean, how to live, in line with those requirements posed by Kate Raworth in Donut Economics, with this ecological ceiling and social acceptability. We are talking about technology, which is in place already. AI, blockchain, the use of databases, this technology for collaboration, and we know a famous statement that sustainability is the new digital. We need, and we are working already in the frame of circular economy on new resources, raw materials, energy efficiency, new citizen-based energy, renewables, and so on. We are talking already about different kinds of innovation for the climate, and we have a lot of great examples of cooperation between us and startups in delivering those kind of innovations in different areas. And then we can look from the investment perspective, from the financial institution perspective. We have already, a lot of regulation, like, taxonomy, and all those issues with sustainable finance, disclosure, and also new elements like, what was published few days ago by European Commission, just another few hundred pages on taxonomy. So it's really, we have, let's say, the ecosystem of change is already here. So we are ready for those changes, but in order to make them happen, we need those small steps, yeah. And we have also, of course, the global or European picture of our European Green Deal with different policies in place. And we are starting to go deeper into this innovation for impact. What does it mean? How are we going to deal with what is impact? We can talk positive impact, we can talk about environmental impact, social impact, different kind of impacts. Its implementation of new or significantly improved products or services, processes, new methods of operation in the market, new organizational structure, partnerships, leading to improved economic, environmental, and social performance throughout the life cycle compared to existing solutions on the market. I know that this definition is rather long, but because I'm academic, I have to start from definition. Yeah, but I think that for large companies, positive impact startups can turn out to be extremely interesting right now. Business leaders are looking for innovations that will allow them to become a provider of sustainable solutions. So a lot of companies are starting to think about this kind of cooperation using new business models. And investors, not only impact investors, which we have already in Poland, some impact investors as well, systematically are shifting the financial capital at their disposal, I mean assets under management, towards responsible innovation in order to adapt to changes in the regulation, especially with sustainable finance disclosure regulation. The aim of such startups is to raise the level of quality of life of different people, from different target group, as well as the quality of the environment. Therefore, they do not only want to reduce the harmfulness of the operational activities. What we can see, from the perspective of big multinationals, that they are trying to reduce to be a little bit better. No, startups are going from the different perspective. They would like to increase their positive impact, for the society and for the regeneration of ecosystem. That's the reason we are talking now about regenerative economy, regenerative agriculture, and so on. So it's just improvement. We can do it by win-win attitude, so it's really possible. So in fact, if we are looking at the trends in the economy, we are moving from a linear economy, which is take, make, waste, into industrial recycling economy, where we can use some materials for recycle, to circular economy where there is no waste, to regenerative economy when we are not there is no waste, but also positive impact. At the same time doing business. It's not about charity, of course. It's about, will business be the best for the world, as sounded this credo from B Corp. I think it's an important point. So, and looking at those innovations, we can say that they're just in general, to simplify, of course, two different types. The first type of responsible innovation is differently. Yes, well-known services, products, industries, but differently designed, better designed. Because of the global trends, natural and social necessity, entrepreneurs can adapt to new progressive expectations and changing legislation. The climate, environmental catastrophe, climate neutrality, plant-based food. So we are just doing the same, but a little bit better, different, in a different way. We can have, different examples already on the Polish market, with food made differently, or with packaging differently.
Maybe we can reorganize our meeting and our webinar a little bit, and maybe we could introduce a little bit the aspects of positive impact and sustainability from the perspective of Japka, if you don't mind, being a little bit more more flexible and agile at this point. And obviously, once Professor is back, I think we could also still give him the space to continue with his few words on positive impact. Would that work?
Certainly. Good afternoon. I hope we can be heard.
Yes, we can hear. Okay. Professor, you're back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I think so. It's always the best way just to repeat once more the same. Yeah, it means.
Okay.
So if you didn't start yet, so I can finish.
Yes.
If possible.
Okay,
So
please.
sorry for that, but it's unpredictable. So just as an example of those innovations differently, I think just smartphone, a smartphone, but ethical smartphone, which is a great company from the Netherlands, which is a Fairphone. And it's based on freedom from exploitation and conflict minerals, equality, repairability, warranty up to 5 years, and zero electro waste. And there are a lot of improvements. We still have the smartphone, which is up to the highest technology, but with completely different background. So I think that this differently is a kind of innovation that it's not we are inventing something completely new, but we are just improving, adding some environmental and social value, which is quite important. The second type of innovation is something else or something different. To survive the coming crisis, we need something completely different than before. It is the economy as we know it, fossil fuels based, that has led to enormous threats and violent social environmental conditions, financial, demographic, health, political, and so on. We need completely new materials. That's the reason why we are talking in circular economy about material makers, those which are preparing for the market completely new materials, never existed before. And we need completely new services, because the scale of social exclusion is not only inhumane and immoral, but also leads to waste of human potential. So, and we have already such startups which are delivering to the market completely new materials like Fibritech in Poland, or new services like Compass by Associated Apps. So it's possible. We have plenty of them. And I think that the great example also from the Netherlands, I'm at the same time, I'm visiting professor of Amsterdam University of Applied Science. And it's also from Amsterdam, which is Sponge, which is planned launch at the end of next year, but it's re-greening the planet with water from the earth, using smart, nature-inspired solutions. So it's providing, a special material which can create water out of the air without energy, without using energy. And it's working, I've seen it already, it's really incredible. So we can think about re-greening the whole planet. So it is exactly this kind of innovation, which is completely else, completely different, or something different. And and of course we are here at Kosminski Business School also thinking about how to support those startups. So we created already, a few years ago, the program which is Ecosystem of Positive Impact, and we published already 3 reports. So it's in Polish, but you can find a lot of inspiration there, and also a database of some 600 positive impact startups from Poland. And we are just working on that next issue now. And I think that this idea of positive impact startup or startup pozytywnego wpływu is that it is an innovative form of entrepreneurship aimed at solving important societal challenges. It's just a starting point. And then undertaken by people acting with passion. And I really experienced this. It's people with great passion to deliver solutions for important societal challenges in the name of common good that can lead to an increase in the value of an organization, the quality of life of people, and the environment within the sphere of the impact. So positive impact startups create value innovation for sustainability or sometimes innovation for climate using technology and ensuring a high level of organizational reliability, efficiency, suitability of the products and service offered. We are using different criteria. We are still working on that, how to improve those criteria, how to make more transparent and measurable. Is a significant social environmental challenge being addressed? Like, the one from the area of 200 targets from Sustainable Development Goals. Does the use of technology for innovation at the level of products, processes, and business models serve sustainable development? How the company operates on a daily basis? Is it expected or relies as well as measured and maximize positive social, environmental, economic impact? Not only one example, one dimension, but all three of them. Is the business model adequate to the potential of the market? Is there a focus on development scalability because it's the part of being a startup to scale it up? And is the team behind founder or founders which is going to deliver this? And just to end with this, I can say that it's really growing everywhere in the world. It's just an example of impact startups raise a record 39 billion euro. It's American billion in venture funding in 2021. And you can see that if you are comparing with pre-seed, seed, and series A, B, and C, it's really we have a small group of startups recently, which can raise more than 250 million euro. So it's really, we will have unicorns. We have already some of them. And I can say, just as the last slide, that the next, it's according to Larry Fink, which is famous CEO of BlackRock, presenting all controversial issues everywhere in Davos and in all the conferences. The next 1,000 unicorns won't be search engines or social media companies. They will be sustainable, scalable innovators, startups that help the world decarbonize and make the energy transition affordable for all consumers. So I think that it's not only unicorns, it's not only startups, but I think that a lot of companies are going into this direction. Yes, so Japka for me is just the example of company which is going into this direction. So Rafał, Karol, I think that you can go on with that, showing more. And sorry for having this.
Okay, so we will take it over. Thank you for having us over. That's in the first place. And we are really pleased to become the partner of this year initiative of startups of a positive impact. So thank you for that. And as Bartosz mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, that everyone knows Japka. However, I would say that Japka is changing so quickly and dynamically that I will, before getting into a little bit of an introduction, how we strategically consider partnerships for change and how they would help us and external world to achieve certain goals. A few words of introduction. So Japka and more correctly said, Japka Group is the ultimate convenience ecosystem that actually is aimed at making people's life easier. And Paul, like you mentioned that at the beginning, that customers' needs to be at heart of a change. Besides creating value in external world, so in the economy, betterment of the environment, and this is exactly what we do believe business-wise. And what's important, and we do believe in that very strongly, that throughout our daily operations and the use of our services by 3 million customers a day, throughout every single step we take, we do have an impact on not only customers but also other stakeholders, including the silent stakeholder, so the planet Earth. Therefore, at Żabka, we do believe that the pathways or the of our future growth is dependent on collaboration partnerships that would allow us in addressing various societal and business issues. Therefore, last year we decided to redefine our responsibility strategy, which is quite important to say, being a part of three growth or transformation platforms for Żabka Group. So the transformation of the format, so what you see, at our streets, sort of physical stores, or our autonomous stores. I hope we will have a space to discuss that later. Throughout technology and innovation, you've mentioned before, and the partnerships for that would help us in creating new future, very often are related to digitalization and technology-based revolution. And finally, last but not least, responsibility is the third element of Żabka Group transformation, what also shows that integrated thinking is at the core of what we do at Żabka. So last year, we decided to define and launch our new strategy, making with this strategy a quite profound promise that we would like to create green and sustainable living conditions for everyone and every day. Żabka is a brand that is available at hand, therefore the sustainability related transformations we believe should happen every day. One out of the four strategic pillars is actually dedicated to how we would like to collaborate with our various partners, including startup ecosystem. Mindful business impact pillar is focusing on fostering entrepreneurship. You've mentioned that in your speech. Secondly, for us, partnership for positive change is a focus area per se. And last but not least, we do focus on the communities we operate in, appreciating the fact that those interdependencies are quite vital for the success of our business, satisfying customers' needs, but also at the same time ensuring that we reduce our negative environmental impact. So this is a kind of a statement that we wanted to make through our strategic setup, that collaboration partnerships are at the heart of our future growth. And you can see just a kind of a snapshot of this strategy. And the upper right, in the upper right corner, you can see that throughout these three focus areas in the mindful business impact pillar of our strategy, we are engaging our stakeholders in this positive change to drive positive change in the environments we operate with. So we treated very much seriously. So just a matter of introduction, and I just built on a number of points you've mentioned in your introduction, and that only shows that we treat it very seriously, and the engagement we would like to accelerate, among others, through the collaboration with Koźmiński Business Hub, is a proof point that we are really looking for serious solutions for the better world. So just a matter of introduction.
Yeah, if I can go back to this strategy, and just one my initial question first about this mindful business impact. How are you going to understand? How are you understand this mindful business impact? Yeah, because we are talking a lot about this negative impact and reducing negative impact and being less bad and so on. And now you are presenting something what is, impact on entrepreneurs, local communities, and so on. But what does it mean mindful from your perspective?
Thank you for the question. Our kind of a rationale behind naming or labeling this pillar with such a word was intentional. So we would like throughout it we wanted to ensure that we are not only demanding change from others, but actually we start with ourselves. And we do know that a number of business environmental issues we are facing, and you've also mentioned that in your introduction, that solving those challenges are only in the capability of not only large organizations, but they require profound collaboration, across industries, across sectors, to find the most optimal way to drive the change. So, in the first place, we wanted to express that we would like to engage our partners and find new solutions together. Certainly, we want to express that we'll be proactively looking for various solutions, based on technology, but also based on processes or new kind of a product or service innovation that would help us in achieving our business objectives, but also to be well received in the external world, and that would have a positive impact on environment. And the third element of it, which I have not mentioned but is very important for us, is not that we are just starting this journey right now, but for many years, along with our business partners, including suppliers, we've been working hard on, for instance, the assortment transformation that you can see throughout our channels to ensure that we would be the first choice for our suppliers to collaborate with and help them at the same time develop and transform their businesses. So entrepreneurship is at the core of our thinking as well.
Yes, but do you mean also, startups? Because if we are talking about this collaboration and partnerships, and you are all the time we are talking about entrepreneurs, and I think that it's about your entrepreneurs which you have, because you are a franchise model. But what do you think about really? Do you think that startups can be useful for a company like Japka? Those kind of startups presented, in fact, working for sustainable lifestyle, which you have, in the first pillar. Yeah. And what does it mean that we can create together, or we can promote sustainable lifestyle, we can deliver products, we can educate customers and our clients. So what kind of effects of this collaboration can be for your clients? Yeah. So do you think that startups can be useful in convincing the whole society, or is it just only for some positive effects only for your um, for your company? for your let's say business goals?
I will leave the answer to Carol, as
Yes.
this is the expert to cover that. But before that, just literally one sentence. It's quite important what you said about the kind of the ways of doing it and the kind of rationale behind. But I would say that it's even more than just delivery of product or services for ourselves, and Carol will describe that. But intentionally, you can see in our strategic framework that these partnerships and collaborations are visible there. Therefore, we just wanted to go beyond, let's say, traditional way of business to business collaboration. So, but Carol, being head of our venture studio, he's exactly at the heartbeat of the transformation we want to deliver. Carol, floor is yours.
Thanks, Rafael. Once again, welcome everyone. Yes, so definitely, when we're talking about the startups, we're thinking about the young entrepreneurships, which are still in the early phase of the development. So basically, they lack of a lot of things, a lot of resources that are needed to grow their business and to grow their products. And starting the cooperation with the corporations, they can first of all benefit by getting financing. However, what was interesting is that it's not the top reason for the startups to cooperate with the corporations. So what we see that the motivation for the startups is very often related to getting access to the resources, getting access to the larger markets, access to the data gathered every day by the corporations like ours, and what's most important, getting access to the customers. So for the startups, starting the cooperation with the corporation is getting access to like very very wide market. Just to mention, we are having over 8,000 stores in the Poland. So by cooperating with corporations like us, startups can have the very deep reach into the customers. And of course, when it comes to the corporations, there are also a lot of benefits for them too. So like first of all, thanks to cooperation with startups, we can get faster access to innovations and new products. We get a insight to new experimental technologies we maybe haven't thought of, or yeah, we don't know yet. Also, the fact that the startups are the entrepreneurs at the early stage of the development, they also bring this agility to the business, which is not always the case of the corporations. And yeah, so I would say that the benefits are mutual, and this is why we want to explore this sort of a cooperation. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I agree that the benefits are for the both sides. Yeah, but what about this positive impact? Yeah, if we are talking about innovation for positive impact, do you think that this cooperation, this collaboration with startups can increase your positive impact and those startups' positive impact? So how it is possible, and how are you going? In fact, how are you understand, the positive impact, and especially in terms of innovation, what we can do? How are we going, to increase positive impact and also increase the ability of startups to maximize positive impact at the same time? It's not only, of course, as you said, they need some financial, capital. They need mentors. They need, possibility for testing and so on. But what else? What else are the benefits of cooperation with this kind of startups?
Well, I would say that what's most important is that we can become a platform for those startups to reach the broader audience. Basically, the impact, as you showed yourself on the graph, this is the growing sector. Right now, the unicorns are mostly the e-commerces And as the CEO of BlackRock said, that it's going to change, but it still hasn't yet, right? So basically, we are giving the startups a platform to reach basically more than 20 million polls every day. And for us, this is also it lets us to apply our strategic team and basically products, those solutions in our stores.
At the same time, if you allow me to add one quite important point, throughout such collaboration in well-defined themes or topics, we are also giving a kind of a space and a floor to these entrepreneurs, startups, innovators that have clear mind around what are the challenges that can be addressed throughout their solution, and our business strategy, including our responsibility bit, is quite well thought through, so that can also find in this partnership actually the partner with a clear mind of impact that can be made can be executed together for the betterment of economy, society, and scalability if successful. So this is kind of a more like a purpose-driven thinking behind this more core elements of a collaboration that Carol mentioned, including financing or resources or access to to markets.
Yes. So my final short question, I can see in the pillar 4, decarbonization. Yeah. What do you think, Rafa, about the future of decarbonization? Because Japka is the only Polish company which is part of science-based targets. So how do you see the future of decarbonization for your company?
For the time being, and thank you for mentioning that. Indeed, we are the first organization from the retail and staples industry that got its decarbonization strategy pathways verified by Science Based Target Initiative, and now is the time to accelerate the change. And a part of it is potentially collaboration with the innovators. And one of the topics that Carol will be presenting in a minute in our joint program actually is dedicated to element of it of the decarbonization. So throughout finding efficiencies in our daily operations, certain investments, we still need kind of a supply of new ideas, technologies, process innovations that would help us in delivering the change. Yet the change is not only in our hands. So like the cross-industry collaboration, including for instance, previously mentioned topic of the energy is one of the topics we would need to address in the months and years to come.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, gentlemen. So yes, thank you very much for putting a very interesting light on the positive impact concept, and also Carol, I think you showed pretty well why it's worth actually to participating in our acceleration program and actually potentially also working with you as a more of a long-term goal. So maybe making a little bit of a connection to the next part, that is discussing a little bit the acceleration program itself, and also introducing the two, let's say, parties that will be co-organizing it. Let me give you a little bit heads up on our acceleration program. First of all, and Kuzminski Business Hub. So for those of you who might not know Kuzminski Business Hub, we are, let's say, located physically and metaphorically next to Kuzminski University. We're running our programs for last 4 years, having already 5 successful editions where we hosted and helped out roughly 20 startups. We believe we are to a certain extent unique in our approach because we have very individual approach. So we are not running a workshop for broader teams. We are working very individually we can quite well adjust our mentors to the level and advancement of particular startups. So we believe it makes only sense if you can get utmost value from the program itself. Yes, and the next edition, as we already mentioned, and as it's quite well already introduced as a concept, will be very much linked with the positive impact of startups. So now, Karol, if you could give a little bit more insight on the venture studio itself.
Right. So, thank you, Bartosz. So, at Venture Studio, we are combining the expertise and resources of Japka and external partners like Kuzminski Business Hub to search, develop, implement, and scale products and services in areas adjacent to and beyond the current activities of Japka. We already have some significant successes in the cooperation with the startups, and on the right hand side, you can find some of the innovative players in our portfolio. And if we move further, in this program, we are looking for the products and solutions in such areas as food tech, sustainable development, biodegradable packages, good health and quality of life, and responsible entrepreneurship. So, if you are in one of the mentioned areas, if you are working in one of the mentioned areas, already have a prototype of your solution and meet all the requirements of the program, we would like to invite you to apply to the Startup Impact Program. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the last but not least, I think quite interesting for those of you who already feel encouraged, or you might have friends or family members that you believe might be relevant for this program. Please spread the word around, and because the time is running and the recruitment process is running until the 10th of April. So if you're meeting the requirement that Karol just mentioned before a moment, please don't be shy and register on the address you have on the slide. That's Kuzminski Hub Edu PL. For the following 10 days between 11 and the 20th of April, we will be selecting the startups that will be qualified for the open day to present their concepts and their idea for the business. On the 21st of April, we will announce who is invited out of all the applied startups to the open day. Next step will be the open day itself, which will take place still undecided precisely, but at the end of April, latest early May. And the acceleration program itself will be commenced in May this year, obviously lasting for 2 months with the grand finale as a final demo day, where you will be able to present the progress and where you got with our acceleration program. So that's in a nutshell the concept for the program and the proposal we are having for you. We believe and sincerely hope that this is really exciting, and also for us having our partner from Japka is also something, let's say, quite unique in such program, and I think in generally from the market perspective quite a unique opportunity for those of you who are within the positive impact mode, let's say, with your startup and would like to benefit from the knowledge, experience, and also certain resources that are presented by our guests from Japka Group. Now we still have a couple of minutes for questions. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to write them on chat, and we will bring them to the slide and discuss whatever is of interest for you in terms of the topic of positive impact, as well as the acceleration program itself. Okay, we have just a little bit of patience. We have Wilder. Okay, one moment. There is one question: if there will be the next edition next year? Well, that's quite a good question. Not having yet the first edition, but I believe generally, and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe yes, our concept is that this will be more of a regular formula. And yes, we definitely would be very happy to have a next edition next year.
Yes, and
But of course, it will depend on the amount of positive impact created in this
Exactly. The more positive impact, the higher chances of next edition.
yes, and I would like to also add to those who are hesitate in taking part in this edition. I would like to mention that from this program you can not only count on the mentoring from the Koźmiński expert and the expert of the japka, as well as joint pilot, where you will be able to test your solution in the japka's environment. But we as a japka are also open to the further cooperation with the startups of positive impact after the pilot. So as we said in our discussion, we would be very glad to find and to work with you, and also to see your products, your solution in our chain and on our shelf, but also as a part of our infrastructure. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, if there are any questions, it's let's say the final call, so don't be shy. If anything is of interest, please share. Okay, so for now we seem not to have any additional questions. So I think we can slowly close our webinar and our meeting today. So once again, thank you very much to our expert, Professor Rock, Karol, Rafał, very much thank you to you guys also for participating and bringing the corporate flavor of Żabka to the whole meeting today. I believe we'll have many more chances to meet during the acceleration program over the next couple of weeks. And I also hope that we'll have a chance to meet some of you that are today our audience, or those of you who will be watching the webinar later on. So feel free to ask any questions, be brave to register and show up at the qualification for the acceleration program, and hopefully we see you at the open day very soon. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for today.